Hi, this is Nemla Rednam. In this video, we are going to discuss chance and probability. As you can see in the first, introduction for this section, they have given a few examples, as in whenever you don't take the raincoat, it always rains, or whenever you don't prepare for just one out of the five chapters that you have for the syllabus, it happens that most questions come from that chapter. Or another example that they have given is that uh, you are on time for a train because it has a very good record of always being on time, and it turns out that on that particular day for that particular journey the train is delayed, right? So what are these? I mean, what they're trying to say is that you usually go on in your daily life expecting or predicting stuff, not in a very accurate scientific manner, but you always have an expectation. For example, if it's very bright in the morning, you're going to expect, or you're going to say that most likely that it won't rain today even though it's rainy season or something like that. You always tend to look ahead or try to predict the future. These are nothing but chances, right? So you usually, even in your conversations, you usually use the phrases like, what are the chances, what are the odds, that this event or this particular thing is going to happen, and stuff like that. So that is about chance. And here all the examples that they have given is like, whatever you have predicted has not gone your way, right? This in fact is there is a it's actually called Murphy's law, where anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? So that is a brief explanation or introduction to chance, right? Now coming to probability, the probability is a proper mathematical expression, okay, where you are going to scientifically look at a particular event or whatever that you want to predict, and you're going to look at all the possible outcomes for that particular event, and then you're going to calculate using a formula the probability of of whatever you are expecting or likely or favorable outcome which you define as favorable to occur. Now that is probability. Now they are in the same they all belong to the same area, or we are talking about the same thing. It's all about predicting something occurring or something going to happen in future, right? But that is the more or less the basic difference between chance and probability, right? So going forward, what do we mean by a random experiment? Now, a random experiment is, now you have a particular, for example, if you have a coin, you know that you can toss a coin and get two results, right? One is heads and the other is tail. Now, these outcomes, this experiment of tossing a coin is a random experiment, okay? Because you don't know, there is absolutely no way for you to know in advance, like what is going to be the next outcome. Like you have tossed the coin, even if you toss the coin a million times, there is no way for you to predict the next outcome, saying that head is more likely than tails, okay? This is a random experiment, right, where there is no way of predicting the exact future, right, the next outcome. Or in other words, you can say that you cannot control the outcome, right? We are always going to calculate the probability of head, the probability of tail occurring in the next toss, right? But there is no way for you to influence the outcome, right? That is a random experiment. In other words, it's a fair thing, right? Where you cannot, whoever is conducting the experiment cannot influence the experiment, okay? All the outcomes are they are not influenced by you, right? So this is a random experiment. Now let's look at these, try these. If you try to start a scooter, what are the possible outcomes? Now here they are talking about, please understand these key words, okay? We are talking about possible outcomes. Now here they simply want you to list what can happen. What can happen when you start a scooter? Either the scooter is going to start or it is not going to start. right? So these are the two possible outcomes. Now coming to when a die is thrown, what are the possible outcomes? They have already mentioned it's 6. As you know, there are 6 possible outcomes when you throw a die, right? You have the numbers from 1 to 6 and any one of these outcomes is possible. So these are the possible outcomes. So going ahead, when you are trying to calculate probability, the first thing that you're going to do is you need to list down the possible outcomes. Okay, then we will move ahead and look at the likelihood and the probabilities and so on. So coming to the next one, when you spin the wheel shown, what are the possible outcomes? In this figure, you can see here, there is a wheel in which there are 3 sectors A, B, C, and you can see all the 3 pies are of equal area. They have the same central angle here. Okay, so now they're saying what are the possible outcomes. Here again you are going to say that A, B, C are the possible outcomes. So you have 3 possible outcomes here, right? So here the possible outcomes is, you can say 3 and list them. One is A, the other is B and the other is C. Okay. Here the outcome means the sector at which the pointer stops. Next, coming to the fourth try this question. You have a bag with 5 identical balls of different colors and you are to pull out or draw a ball without looking at it, right? Now list the outcomes that you will get. So you can see that you have 5 different balls, all the balls are of equal size and you don't know the color when you are picking out, when you're conducting the experiment, because you are not allowed to look into the bag. So what are the, now they're asking list the outcomes. Again you're talking about, here simply they're asking you what are the outcomes. So you know that the outcomes are that the ball could be either white or red or black or green or yellow. So these are the 5 possible outcomes, right? In the previous case, here whether the scooter is going to start or not. So 2 possible outcomes. Here you have 6, that is 6 possible outcomes, that is the die can show the number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So these are the 4 sums that they have given, where you are simply going to list the possible outcomes when the random experiment is conducted. Now, think, discuss and write. In throwing a die, does the first player have a greater chance of getting a 6? Okay, now think about this. You discuss with your friends, with your classmates and see what are the chances that, you know, whoever throws the die first has a greater chance of getting a 6. Is it really possible that, you know, whoever is throwing the die first has a greater chance of getting a 6? No, because all the 6 outcomes are equally likely in this case. Would the player who played after him have a lesser chance of getting a 6? Can this happen? This is also a no, because whatever number you get on throwing a die is not dependent on the number that was that was shown in the previous throw, or it does not depend on the uh, where you stand in the line, like whether you're the first player or the second player or so on. The likely the chances of getting a 6 does not depend on when you get to throw the die, right? So would the player who played after him have a lesser chance of getting a 6? No. Next, suppose the second player got a 6, right? Does it mean that the third player would not have a chance of getting a 6? That is it lesser likely, or are there lesser chances of getting 6 consecutively? Again, here the answer is no. It does not mean that the third player would not have a chance of getting a 6, right? That is to say that the number that you get when you throw the die is completely random. Okay, it's completely random. It does not depend whether you're the first player or the second player, or it happens that the player before you, the previous player, has got a 6. Okay, it does not depend on any of these factors. It's a random experiment, right? So that is about outcomes. Now we will come to equally likely outcomes. So initially when we start off trying to understand probability, we need to first look at experiments or the sums or problems where we look at equally likely outcomes. Like we have discussed the coin already and the dice, where we have listed the possible outcomes, right? These outcomes are equally likely. For example, let me go back. Here, if you look at this spin wheel, if the area of C is greater than AB, then it does not become equally likely outcomes, right? Because C will become more likely than A and B, right? So initially, for the purpose of understanding probability, they have first we will be looking at only equally likely outcomes. Okay, for example, a coin is tossed. They are saying, when do you define that the outcomes are equally likely? Usually what they do is they will conduct the random experiment a huge number of times, and when they see that the outcomes are more or less the same, all the possible outcomes, in this case 2 outcomes for tossing a coin, if all the outcomes are equally likely, that is the number is very close to each other, after conducting many the experiment a large number of times, then they say that they're equally likely, right? And we already know that tossing a coin, the outcomes are equally likely. Okay, and sometimes what they will do is, if the sum or the problem that they have given consists of something less conventional, like a tossing a coin or rolling a dice, they will mention that they're equally likely. If they want you to consider them as equally likely, they're going to mention in the question itself that these outcomes are equally likely, right? So that is about equally likely outcomes. Now here they have made it a point to to explain about these what do you say, very rare events, because student, naturally you might say, when you toss a coin, it can happen, right, that the coin is stuck and it does not fall either on head or tail, or the die, when you throw it, it might stand on a corner. Are they completely not impossible events? No, it could happen, right? So they're saying it could happen, but it is so unlikely, the chances are so low, that we are going to almost consider it to be zero, right? So naturally a student is going to ask, this is also possible, right? So why are we not considering it as a third possible event or seventh possible event for the dice? So that is why they have clarified it, that it is so unlikely and very close to zero, that we are not going to consider that possibility at all. Okay, so that is about rolling a dice and tossing a coin. Now we have looked at chances, and what is probability? Now we have listed the possible outcomes, right? So the probability is nothing but it is a ratio of number of favorable outcomes. Okay, favorable outcomes to all possible outcomes. Okay, so what you're going to do is simply list down all possible outcomes and look at the favorable outcomes. For example, what is the probability of you getting a head when you toss a coin? Then favorable outcome becomes getting a heads, and total outcomes become head or tail. So 1 by 2 is the probability. Now that is the formula for probability, right? So that is about the definition of or formula for probability. So here you can see they have looked at the probability of getting a tail is 1 by 2, and probability of getting a head is also 1 by 2. Okay, and when you throw a dice, probability of getting 1 is 1 by 6, getting 2 is 1 by 6, so on. If you say probability of getting a even number, then what will happen? Favorable events are 2, 4, 6, which is 3. All events are 1 to 6, which is 6. So 3 by 6 is half. So that is how you are going to calculate the probability. Okay. Now what is an event? Now, like for example, just now I have given an example of even number, right? Even number is an event which is satisfied by one or more than one outcomes. Now outcome is a single outcome, right? Each outcome of an experiment or a collection of outcomes together becomes a event. Okay, so favorable event by total possible outcomes is nothing but your probability. So you can see here number of outcomes is 3, total outcomes is 6. So 1 by 2 is your probability of getting an even number when you roll a dice. Okay, that is about event. Now they have given an example here. You have 4 red balls and 2 yellow balls, and they're asking us, the ball is drawn from the back without looking. What is the probability of getting a red ball? Now favorable is 4 because I have 4 red balls, right? And total is 6 because 4 plus 2 is 6. So 4 by 6 is my probability of getting a red ball, which is nothing but 2/3, 2 by 3. Okay. And for yellow, it is going to be 2 by 6, which is 1 by 3. So now you can say that probability of getting a red ball is more than probability of getting a yellow. Right. So going to the next sum, they're saying, suppose you have a spin wheel as given. You can say that clearly G stands for green and R stands for red. List the number of outcomes of getting a green sector and not getting a green sector on this wheel, right? So you can see that clearly getting a green sector, you can number them if you want. So this is the first possible green, 2, 3, 4, 5. So list the number of outcomes of getting a green sector. You have 5 outcomes. And number of outcomes of getting not getting a green sector, clearly that is they're talking about the red one. So total 8 minus 5 is 3. So not getting a green is 3. Okay. Now find the probability of getting a green sector. Now here I have listed the outcomes. What is the probability? Here the favorable event is green sector, so it is 5 divided by total, which is 5 plus 3, 8. So 5 by 8 is the probability. Probability of not getting a green sector, favorable here is 3 because number of times you are not getting a green is 3 out of 8. So 3 by 8 is the probability of not getting a green sector. So that is how you will calculate the probability. Next, chance and probability related to real life. Now here they're talking about the first example they gave in the beginning of this section, that is the probability of it raining and the probability in the event that you don't carry the raincoat, right? So here what they're saying is that, so here actually in this example I am a little it's incorrect first of all, and I can't go into the details of why it is incorrect because we haven't yet introduced conditional probability, independent events, dependent events, and conditional and conditional probability and so on. Because here if you see, all I'm going to say is that you can see that we are talking about two things here: it raining, okay, and you not carrying a raincoat. Okay, there are two different aspects to this. Whether it rains or not is the first aspect, whether you carry the raincoat or not is the second aspect. Okay, so what happens is you are looking at two events simultaneously. That is where conditional probability and such things come into picture often. And in fact all the time in real life you never have something as simple and as blissful as rolling a dice or tossing a coin. You will have these complications, different layers and different possibilities that you have to consider, right? So here all I'm going to say is, so here let us look at what they have said exactly. What could you say about the chance in terms of probability? Okay, you know that the chances of it raining or the chances of not raining, you can randomly, you can you can talk in a layman's language very easily without without any kind of you wouldn't, nobody can pinpoint that your statement is incorrect when you're talking about chances. But here they're talking about converting it or expressing it in terms of probability. When they're talking about expressing it in terms of probability, then you have to be accurate. And what I'm saying is, whenever you are dealing with probability, it is very important, absolutely very, very important that you understand the concept, because before you apply it in your real life problems, right? Because a lot of times what happens is this term is used so often, and in real life, be it court cases or because probability is nothing but prediction, right? So it's very important that you understand. So here I just want to point out one thing without explaining the entire sum. The probability that it rains is 1 by 10. Now here what is he considering? It rains on the day when you do not carry the raincoat. So he is implying that it is very unlikely that it rains on a day that you do not carry a raincoat. Okay, he's saying it is 1 by 10. And the probability that it does not rain, that is, he's talking about the probability of it not raining when you're not carrying a raincoat is 9 by 10. Okay, so 9 by 10 is definitely almost 1, and I don't want you to conclude by this that it does not rain when you do not carry a raincoat, because that is what this number is implying, right? The mistake here or the misleading part here is that there are two events here and you need to carefully consider all the possible events. Only then you will be able to understand and get the accurate probabilities. You can calculate probability of it raining when you do not carry a raincoat. It is possible. You can collect data as in how many days in a rainy season out of all the entire duration of the rainy season, for how many days are you carrying the raincoat. Using that information, we definitely can do this experiment. We can calculate the probability. It's not impossible, but this number is highly misleading is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is about probability regarding the rains. Next is to find the characteristics of a large group. You usually take a sample sample group and you collect the data of that, and using that you predict the larger this thing. So the most common one that we use very often, and common very often in the sense we have all heard of it, is exit polls. Okay, so what do they do in exit polls? What they are going to do in an exit poll is they are going to take a samples group, and for that group they are going to go to the voting centers and ask them which party they have voted for immediately after they have voted. And taking this sample group, they are going to predict uh, the possible outcome, the actual election outcome. That is an exit poll. It more often than not, it this sample data is going to represent the larger, more or less, not exactly, definitely there will be some variations, but it gives you an idea. It helps you in predicting. It helps you in predicting what could happen in the final election result. Okay, so that is about using it for such cases. And then even in weather, they are going to be using data from many past years and trying to correlate and then try to predict the weather forecast. As you can see, it is a forecast. You're going to talk about the how the weather is going to be in future, in the near future, depending on the data that you currently have and all the data that you have for the past many years. Okay, so as you can see, probability is all about predicting. Okay, it's mainly about predicting the future. How you go about doing it, like I said, it is very important to understand probability before you go on to predict something, because these ratios, these numbers can depending on just one minor mistake, the probability, the figure, the final probability that you get can vary astronomically. So it's very important that you understand what you're doing when you're calculating the probability. Okay, so in the next video we are going to look at exercise 4.2.